So I've helped open 25 restaurants from the ground up. I've been in the industry for 20 years. There's one profit killer, one really notorious one that overshadows all of them. To put perspective on it, I remember I was helping open probably, I want to say my 12th or 13th restaurant. Everyone was amped, right? It's Waikiki, it was a beautiful location on the water. Everyone was excited, but I had this like gut-wrenching feeling inside. I didn't know what was wrong, and I realized that this place was kind of doomed to fail that I was opening. It had nothing to do with the way it looked. It was a beautiful aesthetic. The menu was amazing, but I knew something was wrong. I realized at that moment what it was. And so I've seen so many restaurants I've been a part of opening, as a server, as a bartender, as a food runner, as a trainer, as a manager. I've seen so many restaurants open, they all have the same exact tenacity, right? No restaurant opening has an owner or a GM that says, we want to have pretty good service, we want to have a pretty good experience, we want to have a pretty good restaurant. Everyone's like, one of the best experience, the best service, the best restaurant. Well, we want to have the best, but they end up falling way, way short of the mark, always. And maybe they still make money, maybe they don't, but they never live up to their potential of what they could have been. And I always wondered why. Like, why is that? The real reason is because they don't focus on the front of the house. It's absolutely insane. They'll spend all this money on the aesthetic, millions. They'll spend money flying a chef in, making the best food, putting them up, investing in that part of it. But when it comes to the front of the house training, the face and the voice of the restaurant, the experience part of the restaurant, the other 50% of why people go to restaurants, they spend $0. They ask a manager or a GM who's already burnt out, already stressed out, already spread thin, hey, can you create the training get the training together for the servers, for the bartenders, for the hosts, for all those people? So these stretched out people go and put together a haphazard training regimen. They have 2 weeks to train, no focus on it, rush them through it. By the way, these managers and GMs are not trained to create all this stuff. They're just going off of whatever they've seen in the past work, which is not a good way to create a training protocol if you've ever done one. So then they open, culture is everywhere. There's no order. People don't know what they're doing. There's no direct ideology of what we're trying to do. There's no vision. There's no mission. It's just kind of get someone from point A to point B. Someone comes in, we're just going to try and serve them with a big smile on their face and be really nice. And just please bear with us. We just opened, and get them to pay their bill. Get them from square A to square B. And that's called service, not hospitality. And you get service at Denny's. You get service at McDonald's. That's service. It's a transaction. One step to the other. Hospitality is a whole nother thing, and that's a trained skill set. So that's why restaurants end up failing. Year one, let's just say you invest a bunch of money in a really nice restaurant, in a good location, and you're really popular because you're the new spot. You're the shiny new object. So now you're making money, but you're not building any guest loyalty. You're not building up your guest retention. You're not building up any employee loyalty. So as soon as you start slowing down, as soon as another new kid opens up on your left and another new kid opens up on your right, your employees will leave you faster than your head will spin, right? Because they have no loyalty to you because you haven't earned it. And then your customers will leave you. You haven't built loyalty, you haven't earned it. You've just given them service. Here's some food, pay for it, have a nice day. When that happens, after year 2, year 3, year 4, year 5, maybe you're still in the green, but you still start dwindling down. And that's why I just don't understand why these places don't focus on the front of house operations. Be opening a restaurant or you're opened as a restaurant and you haven't focused on this, put an emphasis on this. What would be the first 3 things I would do if I was a new restaurant? I would focus heavily on this front of the house training. The second you start developing your menu, the second you start scouting for locations, start developing your front of the house operations. Start mapping that out to see what that's gonna look like. What are your focuses gonna be? What are your missions gonna be? What do you want the ideology of all your staff to be? Start writing that out, so by the time you're getting close to opening, 30 days out, I know it's always a moving target, then you can start developing the actual training and protocols and systems and having someone have time to develop that and let it grow and let it breathe. It should be very comprehensive. It should be very heavy-handed, and it should continue after you open. Now, if you're already open and you're struggling with this, do the same thing. Create a train the trainer program and make sure you have trained trainers in your locations. Have a mapped out training protocol that's very extensive. Have tests, have assessments, have all of that stuff. Retrain, continuously train. Once a week, you should be training your staff. Every day, you should be training your staff through pre-shifts and through briefings. Always be training your staff, always be nurturing them, always be growing them. If they're an investment, act like they're one. Use them as an investment. If you don't use them as an investment, you use them as an employee, that's how they're gonna feel, and that's what you're gonna give back. You invest in them, give them some love, nurture them, grow them, they're gonna reward you by performing a lot better. You're gonna get a lot better results, and you're gonna higher return on your investment. really think about it as something that you want to grow, because it's just as important as your menu. Good food, even mediocre food, but great hospitality consistently will always beat out great food and mediocre hospitality, because this will be the silent killer you'll never see coming.